Delhi Capitals tried their best to get their captain back. She who led them to all three finals in the WPL so far, but Meg Lanning is no longer part of DC. So who will Delhi's new captain be, Vishal?
Well, before Vishal Path Jindal answered that question after the auction, that is going to be an Indian captain, and who has been their vice captain for the last 3 years, it's Jemmy Rodrigues. Obviously, the options were on paper, Laura Wolfart and Jemmy, but it's pretty obvious now that Jemmy is going to lead them. She has some domestic experience for Mumbai in under 19 and the senior side as well. But Path Jindal also said that it's time to go one step further. They made the last three finals, so they bring in a new captain and they want to go one step further. It might be the biggest challenge Rodriguez has had in her T20 career. There are obviously challenges about the combinations and all, which we'll come to later. But how to
Yeah.
handle all that will be an additional challenge for Jamie Rodriguez. Bowling changes, and if you lose a couple of matches here and there, T20 is that kind of a format.
Yeah. So likeliest leader based on the words of Parchinder, Jemima Rodrigues. But it is quite a cracking top three. The prospect of Shafali Verma, Laura Wolford, Jemima Rodrigues. So that's a big strength. But Shashank, it is a little lower down towards the end of that batting lineup, where Delhi's problem, which has existed for the last few seasons, will continue with the wicketkeeper slot.
It's not been exactly a problem for them so far over the last three editions because of the way their batting order is structured with Meg Lanning opening, Shefali Verma, Jemima Rodrigues, Marizan Cap. So having retained the got the core together again, I think. I mean, of course, Lanning isn't around now, but they've got someone like a Laura Wolfart who bridges that gap seamlessly. I think they've not really needed a contribution from the wicketkeeper, which probably explains why Thania Bhatia is almost doing a very specialist job for them. You look at the records, she scored 5 runs across 3 seasons for them, hardly any opportunities to bat. And it looks like that will continue this season because of the makeup of the rest of the batting lineup. But having said that, they've got another option, a very viable option in Lizelle Lee as a backup if they want to strengthen that wicket keeping area along with someone who offers batting flexibility. But that will mean they'll have to potentially leave out Laura Wolford. Whether they're ready to do that, I'm not so sure just yet. So for now, it looks like the wicketkeeper problem or so will continue with Tanya Bhatia playing as a specialist.
Any takers for that Lizelle Lee Laura Wolford swap?
Very
Not
much
to
on
start.
board for that. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Vishal.
No, no, go ahead. That was just one line that no chance.
So both of you have given your one-liner. Sud says very much on board. Vishal says no chance. I would be inclined to say no chance. I mean, the kind of uh, form Laura Wolfert has been in, the prospect of Shafali Verma and Laura Wolfert opening, and as Shashank points out, Delhi had the luxury to be able to carry a specialist wicketkeeper. And even if you look at this side with the all-round heft of Kapp and Sutherland and Janelle Henry, it is possible that the same situation repeats itself again. But domestic seam bowling looks like a potential concern, sir.
Yeah, in all the throughout their squad, they have just the five fast bowling options, and four of them are overseas. Nandini Sharma being the only Indian option that they have in that department, and they are very spin heavy. You can understand what works for them. There's Minu Mani in the squad who's been a regular for them. So even in our 11, in our possible 11, she could come in. But the bigger point remains that they are a little thin on seam bowling attack, and but the flip side to that is they have Lucy Hamilton in the reserves. She's a left arm pacer from Australia, and I see her as a point of difference bowler in this Delhi Capitals unit. She's been the youngest to take a 5 wicket haul in the WBBL, so very exciting in that sense. And she could easily probably take a Chanel Henry spot in this side, and probably they can get in a Minu Mani or an experienced batter in that sense. So, yeah, exciting squad in that sense.
Okay, so they do have options, but through the auction, there was only one domestic seamer that they went for outside of Nandini Sharma, and that was Kranti Gaur. They thought they had her, but then UP had the RTM. Vishal, it feels like a Delhi UP rivalry coming up because not only did they lose Kranti Gaur, they also lost Meg Lanning to them, and they had two other RTM losses in Eccleston and Deepthi Sharma.
Yeah, it seems like a North Indian derby now coming up in this WPL. They Sorry, just like Mumbai Indians, it felt like they wanted to get some of their players back. But such was UP Warriors' strategy that they had retained one player. RTMs, they were pretty sure they were going to go after Deepthi and some of the other players. So Delhi Capitals, we don't know what their plan B was. But at the end of the day, despite losing those players, they seem to have a really good 11 on paper.
Yeah, we could call it the D&D derby if it takes off. Shashank, anything that you see that will stop Delhi from being, as they are this league's most consistent force, the only side to make all three finals? Do you see them continuing in the same way?
Oh, absolutely, without doubt. I mean, whatever issues that we've spoken about are very, very minor, issues. They've really covered most bases, right? And I think this squad is really, right up there with the ones that they've had over the first 3 years. In fact, the standard they'll have to do really well to match up to the standards. Having said that, I'm very excited to see an Indian captain coming through, Rodriguez, not just from a WPL standpoint, but also from looking at India's
Yeah.
roadmap in T20 cricket going forward. How she leads Delhi Capitals this season could well, pave the way for, something that we could potentially look at in 2026, maybe after the World Cup next year, and, the way India wants to move forward. So I'm very excited to see this. The other big, exciting option that they've got in their mix is another batter from Haryana, 16 years old, Dia Yadav. Again, bats like Shefali Verma does. High strike rate, no fear whatsoever. Uh, Obviously, I don't think she's going to break into the 11 almost immediately, but she's a developmental player, someone to really watch out for going forward. I remember telling you last year that Nikki Prasad is the one player that she's going to, stick with this team for a long time
Yeah.
to come. I think Dia Yadav could be another player who you'd potentially talk about in a few years' time for being one of the stars for the future.
Well, Delhi Capitals, they've got some players for the future. They've got some players who are already illuminating the present. Can they go the distance? Can they take that one extra step in this WPL cycle?